A man, when his daughter was about the age of 4 or 5, he would face a dilemma. The dilemma would be whether I bury her alive to please the society, because women were considered as second-rate citizens, even worse than slaves perhaps. So do I bury her alive and keep my society and the people around me happy and content, or do I raise her up and be rejected by my society and be labeled many different kinds of names? So every man would face this dilemma when his daughter would be of the age of about 4 to 5 years old. And when a daughter is about 4 to 5 years old, I'm sure most of you have experienced it, that they are at their very cutest when they are at that age. They have learned to speak, they have learned to also reason in a weird way, and they really connect with their fathers. And imagine the father taking his daughter by the hand and saying that, come on, my daughter, I'm taking you to see something special. And he takes her into the middle of the desert where just the night before he had dug out a grave. And she asks him along the way, Daddy, are we there yet? And he says, have patience, the surprise is coming very close. And as he reaches the grave, the daughter begins to wonder what's going on. And he pushes her in the grave, and the daughter, in a state of shock, is asking, Father, what are you doing? And without speaking a word, he starts to throw sand on top of her. On top of her daughter, who is alive. And he keeps doing it until her voice is drowned in the sand. And he can hear her no more. And once he has covered her completely, the daughter still stays alive in the grave for a few minutes before she dies. Science tells us that. You do not die immediately once you are buried alive. This was the culture of the pagan Arabs. Not religion, a cultural practice. These were the times of Jahiliyyah, ignorance. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ came to get rid of these evil practices. So culture in an extreme case could be lethal and fatal and a heinous crime against mankind just on the name of culture. It is my culture, that's why I do it. So we must realize what are these cultural practices that we do that are similarly disliked or hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are these practices that we are engaged in which are not liked by the Creator of the heavens and the earth? If you look at the Western culture as opposed to Islamic culture is governed by the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Whatever He says goes. If, for example, my culture is not in accordance with the revelations of the Creator, then I must leave it. I must reject it. On the other hand, the Western culture is culture that is started by people. It is concepts and ideas of people, not of the Creator. So it's not divine. And who are these people who host the culture? They could be capitalists, they could be people from any religious background or no religious background. They could be atheists. They could be people who believe in any kind of concept or idea. They could be people who believe in same-sex marriages. Anything goes. If you are in power, whatever your opinion is, you can make sure that it is implemented as a culture by supplying enough dose of it in the media. And then hence that becomes the culture. And people follow it. And it is something that is begin and ends with man. There is nothing divine attributed to it. In contrast, if you look at the Islamic culture, we know that it is governed by the Creator of the heavens and the earth. And in its essence, Islamic culture has two things which it propagates. One is simplicity and the other is morality, or what we call in Arabic, haya. And these are both qualities of Iman, having belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thus, a true Islamic society upholds the highest level of morality and encourages people towards simplicity. No extravagance. Try to stay away from extravagances. Example could be that Islamic culture propagates that there should be no free intermingling of the sexes, which is generally very widespread all across the planet. That women cannot be in close association with non-mahrams and vice versa. Similarly, Islamic culture also propagates modest dressing. Clothing that will truly cover the body and should be loose enough to not reveal anything, not reveal the shape of the body. And most importantly, there should be no flirtatious intent involved in the mixing of men and women. This is completely against Islamic culture. Men and women have been given their distinct roles and they are respected for the positions that they hold in society. Man, for example, is the bread earner. That is his job. He provides for the family. Women are the homemakers. This is their primary objective. Yes, they can work if they want to, but their work should never interfere with their primary objective, which is making a home, raising a family. So, each of them has their primary objective and secondary objective and tertiary objective and so on and so forth. So the primary objective of the man is to be the bread earner. The primary objective of the woman is to be the homemaker and raise the kids in an Islamic way. That's why they can be a good family unit. Otherwise you find problems within the couples and you find divorces and all of these ills and evils taking place. If you look at Western culture, for example, it is based on immorality and extravagance. The live-in culture, which is very common in the West, is that you do not have to be married to live in with your partner. It is an absolute norm and it is part of the culture. The clothing, for example, is getting shorter, tighter and more revealing. And this is a constant trend in fashion. I don't know where we are actually heading. You also know of nudist beaches in the West, and that is also a norm. People will not be shocked to hear that there is in fact a nudist beach. People who call themselves naturalists. That we will be in the way that we have been created. Who needs clothes anyway? So this is the Western culture. Instead of covering oneself up and being modestly dressed and avoiding any wrongful accidental glances, the clothing is designed for flirting, attracting and arousing the opposite sex. This is the purpose of clothing. It's not that I wear something because I want to feel warm. Even if it is winter, you will find people roaming around half naked. Because it's a fashion, because it's a trend. So the clothing, the purpose behind clothing is not to cover oneself up and to be warmly dressed, so on and so forth. It is in fact to attract the opposite sex and to appeal to others. Simplicity in this culture is also non-existent. Fashion slavery is part of the lifestyle, that you are a slave to fashion. Your brand determines who you are. What brand you wear determines you as a person. And this in fact is an unfortunate tragedy. And people who cannot afford the brands to just fit in, they will buy knockoffs or fake brands just to seem part of the same group of people. And this is a culture of materialism, of show-off, which is something which is not part of Islamic value system. At the very essence of both these ideologies, the Islamic culture and the Western culture, lies the mindset, the purpose of life of both of these groups. In the Islamic mindset, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator and the sustainer of all mankind. He provides. He is the Khaliq. He is the Razik. And in this short stay of ours on this planet Earth, we must live our life so that it is pleasing to the Creator. We live our life so that He is not upset with us. This is the Islamic ideology.